Welcome to another episode of I don't remember what the fuck. What were we calling this
Just the
again?
mid-year check-in.
Yeah, the mid-year check-in. I'm not even going to start it over. Welcome to the mid-year check-in. I am your host Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we are going to talk about the top 10 movies of 2025 so far. We have reached the half-year mark, and it has been something about films. It has been an interesting year for films. There's been several films that have really been really good, but quite a few films have been disappointing. But that being said, I'm joined by my good friend Matthew Fox. How are you?
Yeah, you're not kidding. The first quarter of the year, which was through the end of March, well, I was starting to get a little concerned. We saw some sparks of life in April. It's been a pretty decent summer so far, but to this point in the year, I think I've only given 5 movies 4 stars or better, which is not that many. Is not that incredible.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind of a year. And to be honest with you, we talk a lot about we both watch you watch more movies and TV than I do, but at the end of the day, like it's been a heavy TV season. You talk and you touch on it a lot. Obviously, it's the first part of the year is where that Emmy push. The second part of the year is the Oscars push, and because of that, you see that balanced throughout through the entirety of the season. But yeah, it's been an interesting year, and what we're going to do for you guys today is we're going to fly through our 10 through 6, and then we'll talk about our 5 through 1, which obviously will be a little bit more of our favorite movies. I'm a little less passionate about my 10 through 6 because I don't expect any of my 10 through possibly 10 through 4 to maybe even end up in my top 3 by the end of the year, or top 10 by the end of the year. But nonetheless, this is again the mid-year check-in for you guys for the world of movies. Matthew Fox, give me your 10 through 6.
All right, so number 10 for me just came out recently is The Materialists, the follow-up from Celine's song. It is not as good as as Past Lives. I think also it has been confusing for people because they advertised it like a traditional rom-com, and that is not decidedly not what this movie is. But it worked for me. I like the 3 leads. I had a good time with that. So right now, sitting there at 10. Um, the next 2 are probably the biggest surprises for me that I actually like them. Maybe it helps when you go into some of these summer movies with no expectations whatsoever. Number 9 for me, Lilo and Stitch. I've seen the original animated film. It was fine. But I actually enjoyed this one. It was a Memorial Day weekend release. I went with my wife. We both had a good time with it. They are actually making a sequel. I don't know if I feel like it needs a sequel, but I had fun with this. It was pretty clever. That is the reason if you play me in fantasy football right now, you will see that I changed my avatar to a smiling sunglass wearing Stitch. I had a good time with it. Probably the most surprising film of the year for me so far is my number 8, and that is Karate Kid Legends. Um, I, if you followed me, I rewatched all the Karate Kid movies, and by the third one, I was actually just making jokes in my letterboxd review. The fighting's bad. The stories are a little limp. Everything's a little off, and nothing about any of these trailers made me excited. And this was the weekend we went on a cruise, so I did not see it when it came out. My friend Eric told me, "Oh, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I want to talk about it on our next episode." So begrudgingly, I went on a Tuesday afternoon to see it during a $5 movie slot because I thought that's about what I'm willing to pay to see. I actually really liked it. Joshua Jackson is pretty incredible in this. I don't even remember him being in the trailers. Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio are pretty good, but this one, it had good fighting. It had some good humor. It had a story that pulled me in. Number 7, Wes Anderson's latest, The Phoenician Scheme. I had a lot of fun with this. A great cast. I think Michael Cera gives a banger of a performance. Even though I don't think that movie will end up in my top 10 at the end of the year, he may end up in my top 5 for supporting actor performances. It was a lot of fun. And then number 6, another movie that's been polarizing, The Life of Chuck. And I know a lot of people did not like it, and it's definitely weird in its construction. I think either the emotions of it got you, or you were all the way out. I think it's one of those movies, it's one or the other. There aren't a lot of people that are like middle of the road. There are a lot of people that wept, and there were a lot of people that said, "What is this trash? Get it off my screen." So, or I guess but for me, the emotions of it worked. I thought it was a clever premise. I've enjoyed Mike Flanagan's other work. This is really, I think a lot of people too went in seeing Mike Flanagan and Stephen King thinking they were getting a horror movie, and this is more of a schmaltzy take on the meaning of life. And
Yeah.
again, it's either going to work for you or you will hate it. And if you hate it, I don't blame you. It is definitely out there, but for me, it worked.
Yeah, it's a movie. Coming in at number 10, I made an executive decision last minute. I'm going to put The Amateur. It's a movie that I don't even expect this to probably be in my top 25 by the end of the year, but I caught it maybe a month or two after it came out. I don't even remember when it came out, but it surprised me. I feel like they structured this really well. I thought it was kind of smart thriller in the element of we didn't have a guy that was capable of kicking ass and taking names, so he had to smartly do it. Coming in at number 9, I've got Final Destination Bloodlines. I actually really enjoyed this a lot better than I thought I was going to. It had no right to be as good as it was, especially how enjoyable it was. Again, another good throwaway film. A film that had an emotional impact on me that kind of floored me to my core is coming in at number 7 is My Dead Friend Zoe. This was definitely a movie I really, really liked. I didn't expect to like it at all. I didn't know what to expect really at all. And I didn't expect it to be as serious as it was just based on some of the clips that you watch. It is an emotional gun punch. Coming in at number, is that 7? 7. Coming to number 7, I 10, 9, 8, 7. I have The Monkey. I love this movie, and it's just a fun. Again, the back half of this rankings, I'm shocked that these movies are on this list, but it just kind of also shows you how terrible this year in film has kind of been so far. But I did enjoy The Monkey. I actually loved Theo James's performance in this, and I thought he was fantastic in the dual role that he had. And coming in at number 6 is The Companion. I love The Companion. I thought it was fun. I thought it was unique. It was fresh. I think that Sophia Thatcher, especially after the performance in what's that movie called?
Sophie Thatcher, she was in Heretic.
Yeah, especially in Heretic, where that film was just a movie. Um,
It had like an awesome two-thirds, and then for me, the
yeah,
ending, I just deflated.
yeah, and the best thing about Companion was that it was a 97-minute runtime. You can always
Mhm.
win my heart over with a 97-minute runtime. So that's why it's number 6. I really enjoyed it. Just thought it was a fresh premise in this world of scarcity and freshness. So all right, Fox 543. Oh, any thoughts on my 10 through 9, 10 through 6 other than what the
I,
fuck?
I liked all those movies. I had a good time with all of them. A couple of them are on my longer list, still in my top. When I go from 11 to 20, Companion probably, and The Monkey were two of the more interesting movies from January February timeframe that got everything going. And Final Destination was another one of the summer ones that surprised me. Like I liked the original Final Destination, but the last couple that we had gotten were abysmal. And having a 15-year layoff, I'm like, this is not going to work. But it was actually quite an enjoyable ride.
All right, give me your 543.
So number 5 for me, what can I say? I like John Bernthal. I like Ben Affleck. Um, this is actually where my 4 star and above begins, and it's The Accountant Part Two. I gave it a little bit of a higher score than the first Accountant. I like their back and forth buddy action. I liked the action in this one. Um, you know, it's probably not incredibly deep, and I think not that many people saw it. It is actually already streaming for free. If you remember Prime Video, it was a Prime Amazon. It was a Prime Video MGM. I can't remember release, and even though it came out the tail end of April, it's already free streaming. I had a good time with it. It was everything I wanted from that kind of movie. Steven Soderbergh has released two films already this year. The first one, Presence, is on Hulu. I like that okay, but Black Bag, his second one that came out in March, I like that a lot. This one, written by David Kep. I thought the script was pretty crackling, and it has a great cast. Kate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender are great, but I really like Marissa Avila in this. Um, I thought it had some fantastic scenes, some fantastic back and forth. Really worked for me. I didn't care for Alex Garland's reunion with Danny Boyle that came out in June, but I really did like his most recent directorial effort, and that is Warfare. Did that with Alex Mendoza. It's based on real experiences. You get dropped right into the middle of a really hairy situation. The craft is incredible. I thought the performances and the diverse cast was very good. It was a movie that left me shook and thinking about it after I left the theaters. So those are my 5, 4, 3.
Yeah, to me, it's funny. Five for me is Warfare, and it's a film that I want to revisit because every time I watched Civil War last year, I know which was a divisive film. Every time I watched Civil War last year, I liked it even more on the rewatches. And Warfare, a brisk 95 minutes for those of you at home, which is a plus side. But that's coming to number five, Warfare. Yeah, I loved what a Garland making this with Mendoza was something that I really loved and enjoyed because he allowed Mendoza to bring that human and realistic element to the war zone that you're not typically used to seeing in these type of war movies in Hollywood. You're used to seeing the razzle dazzle of it all, and this was more of a human approach. And I felt like that to me was why this stood out in such a unique way. It's definitely a film that sits with you. Coming in number four is a film that I can't believe is number four, and that's the Thunderbolts. I love the Thunderbolts. I am a Thunderbolt stan, and I will be a Thunderbolt stan for the rest of my life.
If I would have put money on one of us having an MCU film in their top 10, it would have been me.
Thunderbolts is probably one of the better MCU. I literally went through my rankings, and one day I want to do a show of ranking all the MCU.
Yep.
Maybe we'll do it
Oh,
after Fantastic Four.
I have
I
them
have a
ranked.
rankings. I do too, and I went through it and I was like, I think Thunderbolts is peak MCU, and I stand by that, and I think I have it in my top 10. I haven't really. I've laid out my top rankings of the MCU from all the movies because I don't watch all the TV shows because half of them suck, especially that one with what's that dude? Oscar Wilde. Wasn't that his name?
Oh, Moon Knight,
That was terrible. Um,
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac, Oscar whatever Wilde, whatever. And then there was the other one with Elizabeth Olsen, and that one's terrible
WandaVision
too.
was good.
No, it was terrible. And then there was I don't know. There's several of them. I like the one with what's her face. Oh, man, she was in the Marvel. Was it the Marvels? Was that one?
Uh, well, she was in WandaVision. If that's what oh, you're talking about Miss Marvel.
Yeah, that one. Was that the one I liked? I thought that was good. I think if I
Yeah, I
remember
liked
right.
Miss Marvel. I mean, they've had some dubious
Yeah,
show
but yeah,
experiences, but
Thunderbolts to me reminded me of like it's like the Suicide Squad. You know what I mean? Like it's really what they are, but the
it's
emotional
it's
depth
what they wanted Suicide Squad to be.
that too. The emotional depth of this film has no right to be as an emotional. I didn't have any right to being able to cry either. You know what I mean? But yeah. So coming number three is The Materialist. This is a film that when I saw it, I was like, damn, like it's got an emotional weight, but then as you unpack a lot of unpack the movie through your mind, it starts to weigh heavier and heavier and heavier. I think this is a film for people that liked it or even just enjoyed it. You will rewatch it and share an appreciation, a little bit more of appreciation for the film. And then for me, on top of that, Celine Song, one of the better writers of love that we've seen in some recent time. She got a good performance out of Pedro Pascal, which is absolutely mind blowing to me because I think he's not very good, and I know that's a controversial opinion as well. But what's funny here is, folks, and we're gonna unpack it together at once. But our two and one is the same. This is not planned. Obviously, neither one of us have an idea of being planned of what we like, but there has been two, in my opinion, films that have the potential to stand the test of time of ending up in my top 10 at the end of this year. and we both have the same top two. I don't know. Your one is Sinners, right?
Yeah.
So his one is Sinners, my one is F1, but my two is Sinners, and his F1 is his number two. And these two films, and I think that there's levels of this film that are going to be peppered across our technical categories, probably no matter what top five at the end of the year. There's a lot of elements of both of these films that are just mind blowing. But I'll let you unpack. I'll unpack F1. I'll let you unpack Sinners since it's your one. For me, F1, one of the most exhilarating films of the year. To me, terrified about a runtime. You know what I mean? 225, I think this clocked in at maybe 220, 225 or something like that. But Joseph Kosinski basically brought Top Gun.
It's 2 hours and 35 minutes.
235. Okay, so even more worrisome. But Top Gun Maverick, he put it in a car. You know what I mean? Put it in the F1 world. There is several scenes in this movie that still just thinking about them just blow me away. They're just absolutely mesmerizing. There's a scene towards the end of the movie where Brad Pitt's character finds this solace that he's been searching for so many years, and there's just an emotional levity of F1 that shows this guy chasing the high. And as movie critics, I talked about this in my review. As movie critics, Matthew Fox and I navigate things every time we walk into the theater. We want that high of what a great film feels like, and this is what F1 was. And to me, it's my favorite film of the year by far.
Yeah, I mean, I really had a good time with it too. I think the racing action. So both F1 and Sinners, I gave 4.5 stars, and there's not really a lot that separates them at this point for me. Um, I liked the characters. I liked the performances. Uh, I remember the feeling when we saw Top Gun Maverick, and it was those sequences in the jet that were unlike anything I had ever seen, and that's what made me excited about Joseph Kosinski taking on a racing movie. I think this had a more fun story than perhaps I was even expecting or hoping for, and had some really good sequences, and it's really emotional. I think too at the end you feel like pretty pumped up. I'm a little bummed that they've announced they're working on a sequel. To be honest with you, I wish some of these movies could just be cool original ideas that could stand on their own. But you know, that's the way it goes sometimes.
For sure. All right, Sinners.
Sinners for me, just really incredibly original and unique in the approach. We've seen plenty of vampire series and stuff before, but just the way that it was done, I really enjoyed. I thought the musical elements really worked. There are some really incredible musical sequences. There are some really incredible visuals. Michael B. Jordan creating two very distinct parts. Miles Caton, I really enjoyed him. The female co-stars, I thought did a really great job too. I had fun with Jack O'Connell as kind of the main antagonist there. Just the style, the craft, the setting, everything I was blown away by. Ryan Coogler is an incredible filmmaker. I've been drawn to all of his films that he's done, and he's done basically all of them with Michael B. Jordan. I think they are a great team together. And this, Black Panther will probably always be one of my not only favorite Marvel movies, but favorite movies of all time. But this comes probably a close second for me among Coogler's films.
Yeah, incredible filmmaker, incredible combination. They just keep delivering. You know what I mean? It's not easy to capture the magic consistently over time. You know what I mean? Coogler, has become one of the premier, in my opinion, premier filmmakers in Hollywood, and it's a lot of it is with his creativity. A lot of it is with that uniqueness of what he's bringing to the table. I think that it's kind of magical what he is able to bring to the table. We've seen him do so many different styles of movie, right? Fruitville Station was the movie that really put him on the map, which one of the most gut wrenching films you could ever watch, And then he kind of brought an interesting. He revitalized the Rocky franchise with Creed, and Stallone delivers probably my favorite performance of his throughout the entirety of that entire franchise. And then of course Black Panther, and then Sinners, but his unique approach to everything, his ability to captivate you, his ability to unpack so much for you. He's just an incredible filmmaker. Michael B. Jordan just an incredible actor. You know what I mean? And you could tell the love for this. I tweeted this out too. Like Tom Cruise's love for this film is incredible. I really hope that this carries all the way through the end of the year so that we can see this film get the kind of the due process that it does for the award season. So
I feel like, we talked about. I don't think there are a lot of these films that will probably be in our top 10 or 12 at the end of the year, but there are usually always one or two movies that you've seen by this point in time that stick. You know, for Kaczynski, by this point in time, we had seen Top Gun Maverick, and that was a movie that, while it didn't remain atop my list where it was when it first came out, it stayed pretty decently in my top 10 all year. By this time last year, we had seen Dune Part 2. By this time, a few years ago, we had seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, that even carried all the way through to winning Best Picture. So I think enough people were blown away by Sinners, and it also was such a gigantic box office success, which I think that part was the most surprising, that it is going to stick around. I'll be curious to see F1. Apple is still the only streaming service that's ever won Best Picture for a movie that I think is incredible, that I know you don't care for. But they're a co-financer. Some of their movies that they've pushed out into theaters have been big swings that haven't hit. I think this is their best, like, big scale theatrical pushed movie. So I'll be curious to see if it holds on. I think it could still definitely be a player in the technical awards, but Michael B. Jordan, a pretty popular big time star, Ryan Coogler, a very respected director. I think Sinners is a movie that will still have staying power when we get to the end of the year.
I totally agree. Thank you, Matthew Fox, for joining me to break down the top 10 movies of 2025 so far here at the mid-year mark. If you haven't caught it yet, we did TV, which dropped yesterday, or if you're watching in the future, it dropped on the channel itself. You can check that out as well. But yeah, we'll talk to you guys later.